Wrestling fans, it's Tuesday. That means it's time for another brand new episode of Wrestling Insiders with this guy, the Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas. We want to remind you, if you missed the big announcement last week, the news is great, Tony. We're going to try and bring these fans as a test through the end of 2019, a brand new episode each and every Tuesday with Tony, so to speak.
That'd be fantastic because right here on Boston Wrestling, you not only could learn about the past, the present, but you also we could speculate and talk about what we believe that the future of wrestling will be, not only with the WWE, but other great organizations that is springing up out of nowhere.
Unbelievable wrestling fans, we cannot do it without your help. We're going to have graphics rotating throughout the entire show and every show on how you can help the cause. Everybody likes it for free. You should see him with his meals. But if everybody contributes even a little amount, we can make some great things happen. Before we get to this week's show, say hello to some of our friends.
Are you part of a nonprofit organization, a youth group looking to raise cash for your cause? Stay tuned at the end of this video to learn how you can bring the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation to your town live, featuring the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
San Francisco. WWE returns after 7 years for its debut at the new Chase Center. Be a part of back-to-back nights of live televised events. First with Monday Night Raw, as Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, and Ricochet battle the OC in a 6-man tag team match. Then it's SmackDown Live, as Kofi Kingston collides with Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Plus see Roman Reigns. It's Monday Night Raw on September 23rd, and WWE SmackDown Live on Tuesday, September 24th. Tickets and ringside packages are available.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marty, joined by
Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas.
All right, Tony, we have a very interesting topic.
I like doing that.
I know you do. You get very excited, almost like Lanny, but he gets excited in a different way. You're busy with chicken wings, not your own wings.
No.
All right. Our good friend Poffo from Pitcher's Path wanted to know, Tony, your thoughts on one of the all-time greats, a man that has joined us here in this studio, who we just saw a quick clip of, that passed away recently, Harley Race, a man you had the chance to work with around the country, even before WWF, down in the NWA territories.
The very first time I met Harley Race was in with Bob Geiger, and he used to, and Pat O'Connor. They used to promote Missouri and Kansas back in the day. And George Scott sent me down there for some experience. And as I walked out in Missouri, there was a bunch of guys with long beards down to the mid-chest, and shotguns in the back of their pickup truck, and Jack Daniel bottles in their hand. And I walked to my car, and I got afraid. Because at that time, I was the only black person in this whole building or this whole area. So I ran back in the building. And Harley Race was coming out of the shower. At that time, he was dressed as handsome Harley Race. He was coming out the shower. So he said, "Kid, why are you hanging around? You was on first match. You should be gone." And I said, "I'm going to stay here tonight." He said, "Why is that?" I said, "I'm afraid there's some people out there that when I look at them, I just get fearful." He said, "Well, I'll tell you what, kid. When you go back out there, you tell them that you're a friend of Harley Race. I whooped everybody in this town. I whooped everybody in this town." Harley Race was one of the toughest individuals I ever met in my life. But when he got me in the ring, he treated me like gold. He treated me real good. He was a wonderful person. He was a good coach, a good trainer, and he was one of the, I would say, one of the best, if not the best world champion we ever had. Harley Race knew how to work with a 300-pound man, and he knew how to work with a 200-pound man and have a great match. Most of the Harley race matches I have, we went anywhere between 30 to 60-minute matches. Harley race was the first man to body slam Andre the Giant. And a lot of people don't know that he body slammed Andre the Giant years before Hulk Hogan did it. And when Harley Race did it, Andre was in his prime. And when Hulk Hogan did it, Andre was not in his prime. Harley Race was a person that always going to be respected. And I got to tell you this funny story about Harley Race and me. We're in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Omni. I'm saying that right?
You are.
The Omni.
Yep.
And Ole Anderson at that time was the booker. So Ole got this bright idea because I just won another bodybuilding contest. He said, Tony, take off them wrestling trunks and put on your posing trunk, the trunk you use to win the contest with. I said, well, they very skimpy, like bikinis. He said, yeah, but the people want to see. He said, I want you to do some posing, show them how you won the contest. Because most people never see the bodybuilding contest. I said, okay. So I put on the posing trunk. Well, I get in the ring, Harley Race come in, right off his feet, got his blue jacket on and everything. He ain't seen me yet. So all of a sudden, Harley turned around, and he saw me in them trunks. He jumped back. As we come to the ring, the referee talking to us, Harley Race said, what the hell you got on there, kid? You forgot to put on your trunks. I said, these my posing trunks. There's no damn posing contest. This is a wrestling contest. I'm wearing them damn trunks. I don't like that. Turn around and walk back. I go, oh, hope he don't break nothing on me. So we wrestled about maybe 10, 15 minutes. Fannie Harley Race said, give me a backdrop, kid. I threw him into the rope. I bent over to backdrop him. As he went over the backdrop, he grabbed them trunks and pulled them all the way down to my knees. I grabbed them trunks and pulled them up as fast as I could. I snatched Harley in a headlock, and I said, Harley, what the hell you do that for? He said, I want the people to see the dark side of the moon. And of course, we tried not to laugh, but he hated them trunks. That's why I never wore them again.
You only wore them one time.
That one, Ole said, oh, you look great out there, kid, in them trunks. I said, I would never wear them again. And Harley told me, he said, the next time I'm going to take them and throw them into the third row. But he was that old school, tough, he was a man's man. And he wanted, when he looked across the ring, he wanted to see that he was wrestling a wrestler, not a bodybuilder, and not nothing else. He wanted to see a wrestler across that ring from him. He was just old school like that. I was in a bar one time with Harley Race, and some guys got to talk to him. One punch, boom, got dropped.
Harley punched the guy?
One punch,
Why?
dropped. He just kept messing with Harley.
What was he saying to Harley?
Well, a lot of stuff. Wrestling is fake. You're a phony champion. You ain't nothing. I could kick your ass. Harley said, you really think so, guys? Yeah, I'll whoop your ass. Harley just punched him one time, got dropped. Harley turned right around, sat on the stool, finished his beer. Just like that.
Do you think that Harley Race looked like he was about 60 years old when he was in middle school? He was kind of an older looking guy.
He got when he was younger, when I met him, if you look at younger pictures, he was a very handsome guy.
Was he?
Yeah, that's why they call him Handsome Harley Race.
When he used to tag with Larry Henning back in the AWA
yeah, that's right.
in the 60s?
Yeah, he was a very good-looking young man. Him and Larry the Axe Henning. Now, speaking of Larry the Axe Henning not getting off of Harley, Larry the Axe Henning, one time I was in West Palm Beach, Florida, and they said, Tony, we're going to put you in a handicap match. Now, for those that don't know, a handicap match is two wrestlers taking on one wrestler. Where I was thinking about, I thought I was the biggest, strongest guy walking the face earth. I said, that's embarrassing for me that I need a partner. I said, I don't need no partner. You know, I'm going to take them on by myself. I said, that's going to make me look bad that two of us on one guy, you know, 2 on 1, that make me look bad. The promoter said, oh, don't worry about it, it's going to work out great. Dusty Rhodes said, oh, just going out there, kid, it's going to be great. So I get ready to go through the curtain, and I looked up in the ring, and I saw Larry the Axe Henning. I turned right around, and I looked at Dusty Rhodes. I said, Dusty, you think that I can get one more partner?
Who was your partner? Do you remember?
Some little a Japanese guy.
Yeah.
Was a little small Japanese guy. He weighed, I would say, maybe about 220, maybe about 5'8", 5'11", 6 feet at the most, maybe 200 to 220. And I was like 250 pounds, all big muscle and stuff. But when I saw Larry the Axe hit it, I figured I didn't have enough help. So we get in the ring. Larry said, I always make my chest jump like this, you know. Larry said, hey, that's a pretty good kid. I got an idea. So he backed me up to the rope. Take that big forearm, 22-inch forearm of his, whack me in the he tell me, don't sell it. Sell it means don't respond. He hit me, knocked me through the freaking rope. I get up. He said, kid, I told you don't sell it. So he backed me up to the rope again. Hit me in the chest again. Knocked me through the rope again. And he said, look, we're going to try this one more time. This time, hold yourself strong and when I hit you, make your chest jump. And I said, not if you hit me that damn hard, I'm not going to do it. I wasn't going through the rope on purpose. His forearm had to be at least 20 inches around.
It was thick.
A powerful, powerful man. I hit Gene Anderson, not getting away from Harley again. Gene Anderson said, you effing C with them big arms of yours, that's as hard as you can hit. So I drew back and hit Gene Anderson as hard as I can. Oh, that's much better, kid. That's much better, kid. Right then and there, I said to myself, I would never fight that man.
Gene Anderson called you a cunt?
Yes.
Really? Yeah. Why did Gene Anderson call you a cunt?
Because I hit him in them days.
Because you hit him soft.
Yeah.
You were working soft.
Yeah. He didn't like that. He said, lay him in, kid. Lay him in. I watched Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair hit each other so hard they butt blood vessels in their chest. These guys now, they can't take that type of beating we took. And when you're on the outside of the ring, every punch was a shoot. There's no working punches outside the ring. You have to lay them in outside the ring because the people are sitting that close from you.
Even closer, yeah.
They right up on you. So they could see it making contact. They could tell if that punch is doing you any harm. So when you're outside the ring, that was the place where you really got the crap beaten out of you. Yeah, that's how it was back then.
It's been said that the only two men in professional wrestling that your friend Andre the Giant feared were Haku and Harley Race. Did you ever hear that?
I hear it, but I don't believe it.
You don't think Andre feared anyone?
Are you kidding me?
In a street fight, do you think Harley could take Andre?
No.
No. Why is that?
Because I see what Andre could do.
What could Andre do that Harley couldn't?
I seen Andre sitting in a chair just like I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And backhand, just like this, like you're swatting a fly, a 280-pound man, and knocked him out for nearly 10, 15 minutes. I seen Andre the Giant grab Hulk Hogan and grab Don Morocco out of the ring and pull him up like this. I wrestled Andre the Giant. It's like wrestling a refrigerator. And I was bench pressing 650 and couldn't do nothing with Andre. I seen Andre the Giant turn over cars. I seen him rip doors off the cars before. I seen him do these things. I seen Blackjack Mulligan, Dick Murdoch, and 4 other wrestlers try to jump him on the beach. And he threw them around like they flies.
Really?
Andre, if anybody want to really try Andre, all I do is touch him. Andre he tried his best. He was the only wrestler I knew that wrestled you, and I know one more, Mark Henry. Mark Henry and Andre wrestled the same. They tried very hard not to hurt you.
Because they knew how strong they were.
They tried very hard not to hurt you. Andre would bump into you and break something. You kidding me? He could bump you and break something. You talk about a man that like no other man in the world.
Why do you think that Andre agreed to let Harley slam him? One of the very few people in his career that did. He respected Harley.
Respect.
He didn't fear him, though.
Well, no man fear no man. I mean, I fear nobody. I have no fear for any man, and I'm not that big and tough. But fear is something that wrestlers don't have. If you got fear in your heart, in my day, the wrestling business was not the business for you.
Right.
If you got fear, the Green Beret ain't the business.
You had to be a man.
Right.
You had to be. It's not like today when they look like little models running out there wrestling 150 pounds. You had to be a man.
You had to be a man back there. And they would test you, too. They would test you before they let you in the ring. Like I wrote in my book that for the first 2 or 3 months, every match I was in was a shoot match. Until one night I got Art Nelson in a headlock and almost broke his jaw. And so he told George Scott, he said, you better smart that fucking nigger up, because the next time that nigger grab me like that, I'm going to blow that nigger brain all over the ring.
He wasn't happy with you.
He was not happy with me at all. Not at all was he happy with me. But that's how they talk back in them days. Now, some people may hear me use that word. They say, oh, Tony had to use the N-word. In my day, I would call that so many times that when somebody said, hey, Tony, I ignored them because I didn't know who they were talking to.
It was part of the county.
It was part of the country.
Well, the country even, yeah.
That's how the country was in the 60s and 70s. That's how people addressed me. You know, that's why I hear
everywhere or just in wrestling?
Everywhere.
Really?
Oh,
You'd walk into a restaurant and they'd say, we'd like to seat you now?
Well, you go to the black neighborhood, they're still doing it.
Well, that's different.
No, it's not different. It's the same thing. You being degraded. Only they did when a black person doing it, you're being degraded by a black person, you think it's less effective, but you're still being called the same thing. If I call you a sissy, it don't matter if you white, blue, or green, I'm going to address you as a sissy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Because the color of the person's skin is different, don't mean the meaning of the word change. The meaning of that word means the same thing. If I call you a coward, it don't matter who called you a coward or what color the person could be the same nationality as you. He called you a coward, the word coward means something. It's the meaning of the word. It's not the user of the word that make the word devastated, it's the meaning of it. So when people address each other that way, that person is showing you disrespect, and if you accept it, that means you don't respect yourself enough not to accept that. When you call a woman the B word, that woman allow, any woman that allow a woman, or just because a woman call you a B word, don't mean that the word loses effect. The meaning of the word stay the same, it don't change.
Yeah.
If you start the rain, you're gonna get wet. The rain ain't gonna change because your skin, the color of your skin is different. It's still rain.
All right.
Rain is rain.
Snow
is snow. Dippity-doo-dah, dippity-yay.
You had a chance to see Harley Race have one of the toughest schedules any professional wrestler has ever endured when he was the NWA World Champion. Not someone like in WWE nowadays.
He would be in Atlanta, Georgia one night, and Japan the next night, and Germany the next night. And then the next night, he's in California.
When he was here in the studio, he estimated that he was doing up to 400 shots per year.
Yeah.
Now, as we both know, Tony, there are not 400 days in a year.
A lot of times he wrestled twice.
Lots of.
When he came to Atlanta, he would do on Sunday, we would do like Augusta during the afternoon, and that night we do Atlanta. Or we do Columbus afternoon in Atlanta that night. We came to Charlotte. We would do Greensboro, North Carolina during the day, drive 100 miles, and do Charlotte, North Carolina the same day. So a lot of times there were 2 shows on Sunday. Yep.
Well, he was known as a man that loved an adult beverage. Do you think he needed the adult beverages to try and keep up with the schedule that he had?
It was part of the wrestling world.
Drinking cold beer.
Well, we used to call it the Bologna Blowout. Now, the Bologna Blowout, they didn't have fast food stores like they got now, like McDonald's, Burger King. They had truck stop, and the only convenience store they had during them days was a 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven was the first convenience store. There was no Cumberland Farm. None of that stuff was around then. It was just the old 7-Eleven. And we used to go in there, and you get a pound of cheese and a pound of bologna. Now, back then when you bought cheese and bologna, the guy would take a knife and cut it. He asked you how thick you want it. So you tell him the thickness you want that bologna. He pull out that big butcher knife, he cut that bologna. And then you get that white Wonder Bread.
You like the Wonder Bread?
Well, that's what we had. We didn't have all that fancy bread.
You didn't have a choice. You needed Wonder Bread or that was it.
Yeah, that Wonder Bread, that was it.
No gluten-free bread.
So whoever was sitting in the back was the bartender. And had a big cooler sitting back there. And all the boys about a 6-pack of beer apiece. They put it all in the cooler. So if you're in the back seat, you would give it, when the guy want a beer, you give him a beer. He want a sandwich. You take a slice of bologna, put it on it, a slice of cheese on it, and hand him his sandwich. And that was called the Bologna Blowout. They didn't have all these fancy restaurants that they have. And none of the guys ate breakfast. They would get in about 2 o'clock in the morning, go to bed. Then they wake up about 10. They had to check out the hotel at 11 or 12. So then they would go, we call them buffets now. I can't say the word too good. Back then they called it smorgasbord. What? Where we call them buffets now.
Right. And what did you call it?
It was like a smorgasbord or something they used to call them back in the olden days.
A smart burger?
No, a smorgasbord is a burger or something.
Oh, a smorgasbord.
Yeah, that's the word that they used to do.
You used to like the smorgasbord.
Hey, I was never able to say it. I told you before I said it. I always had people to help me with that word. They boys used to always make fun of me because I couldn't say it, but I knew how to enjoy it.
You enjoyed a smorgasbord.
I enjoyed, but now they call them buffets. That's the only difference. They changed. They call it a buffet now. And they go there and they eat till they can't move. Now they would not eat anything after 4 o'clock. All the shows during that time started at 8. After 4, none of the guys would eat anything. And that's how the whole wrestling world was. And then they would get drunk, and if somebody had a problem, especially in Bill Watts territory, you would get out the car, you would fight, you get back in the car, you drink a beer, and eat a sandwich. And forget about it.
It was a great life.
Yeah.
I bet you wish you could do it again even now. You don't?
No.
Why is that?
I'd rather do it in today's time.
You'd rather be on 4 days on and 3 days off?
Yep.
Because and make bigger money?
Well, it took a lot away from, you had no life. Your whole life was wrestling 7 days a week. You knew nobody outside of the wrestling world, you know. Now guys are able to develop something and they're able to be with their family. They're able to get another business started. Like back in the olden days, Kane would have never became mayor. He wouldn't have the time to do that, you know. And they kept you from being involved in anything but wrestling. Mm-hmm. When I was going to my first bodybuilding contest as a pro wrestler in Georgia, Tim was Mr. Wrestling #1.
The original.
The original one. He said, don't answer your phone, kid, if you want to go to that contest. Don't answer your phone. I said, why not? He said, just do what I said. Don't answer the phone. The phone, just as I was getting ready to go to the contest, the phone rung, and it rung, and it rung, and it rung. I went to the contest. I didn't answer the phone. I won the contest, Mr. North Carolina. I came back. I went to the office the next day. George Scott said, where were you? We tried to call you all day. We had somebody that didn't show up, and we need a replacement. He said there was nobody needed to show up. He said they would do that because they did everything in their power not to allow you to be involved with something. Because they found out if you could find another way to make that same amount of money without the bump and the bruising and the traveling, you're going to take it. Because it happened with him with other wrestlers like Tor Tanaka. Once he found out a way of making money outside the wrestling business, he took it. Earl Maynard, when he found out that he could make money outside of the wrestling business, he left wrestling. Another, Willie Strode. Willie Strode played in a lot of movies. You have probably seen him before. Black guy, bald-headed, real muscular.
Almost sounds like you.
Well,
I'm not familiar with Willie.
Now. Well, Willie Strode was named. Well, he was a wrestler, but once he was able to get into something else, that was it. You see? So wrestling had been a stepping stone for a lot of wrestlers that went into the movie. Prima Canary. I mean, I saw him in the movie with Steve Reed. Mm-hmm. He went into the movie business. He made wrestling business into it. So they was always afraid that we would get involved in something else. So
they didn't want you making money outside of wrestling.
Outside of wrestling, that's right. Exactly.
Do you think that Harley Race could have had movie roles positioned to him?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like a villain in a cowboy movie?
Yeah.
What do you think Harley Race could do?
I think the first one to make that leap, and I'm going with Johnny Weaver, Abe Jacob, and Klondike Bill to watch him. Paradise Alley with Terry Funk.
You enjoyed that?
Well, it wasn't the best movie, but we went to see Terry. We didn't care about Stallone. We didn't care about none of that. We wanted to see Terry Funk. Because here one of our guys
was making a living, silver screen.
Making a living at something. And he did it before Hogan did it.
Yeah.
But he never left wrestling. He stayed with the wrestling, even though that he was in several movies on top of that. But the thing that difference between the old school and Vince Jr., wants you, if he can use you more than just in the ring. In fact, if the ring the only place Vince Jr. could use you, he's not really that interested in you no more.
Sometimes, yeah.
So it's just the opposite now for what he used to be. So it's better for the guys now because there's more opportunity for guys. The first time I saw The Miz, he was not a wrestler. He was on some reality show.
On MTV, The Real World, I think.
The Real World, that's right. That's right. The first time I saw Miz was on The Real World, yeah.
Well, unbelievable. Harley Race, a man, again, known around the globe as one of the all-time greats in wrestling. It was so wonderful to say that he was here in this studio. Tony, Harley was known for his fast driving. For it to be under 100 miles an hour was a slow day at the office.
And chain smoking at the same time.
Did you ever drive with Harley?
Yeah.
Tell us about driving with Harley.
Harley would take off. Never went under 80. Never went under 80. 80, 90, 100 miles per hour every night, smoking one cigarette after another and drinking straight whiskey. He was scared the hell out of you.
What did he drink it in? Little flask?
Whiskey. I don't know nothing about whiskey.
Well, what did he drink it in? A cup? Or?
No, straight from the bottle.
Straight from the bottle he drank his whiskey.
Had in a little brown paper bag.
How many packs of cigarettes would Harley usually go through?
Who knows?
In a day? You don't even know. A lot.
Constantly.
And I think it helped make his voice gruff.
Yeah.
Amazing. I really don't know of Harley ever having any wrestling-related car accidents. He actually wound up in a boat accident when he was in WCW. It almost killed himself.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Ain't that weird?
He was a skilled driver, even if he was drunk.
Yeah. No.
What was the fastest you can remember Harley going when you were in the car? I've heard some high speeds.
You don't look at the medium when you're in Harley. You like this.
You feel like you're in a rocket ship.
He took off me. I popped my beer. I had my sandwich. Harley took off. We drove 100 miles. At the end of the 100 miles, I was still like this. Never took one sip of my beer, not one bite of my sandwich. I was like this the whole time.
Oh, my God. He went to the Commissioner Von Johnson School of Driving, I think. Did you ever hear of maybe an incident that I am unfamiliar with where he was in a car accident on the road with the boys?
No.
I'm not familiar. I know he had I believe there was an accident he wrote about in his book that took place when he was younger, but not on the roads when he was doing 100 miles an hour every night all over the country.
Absolutely. And you know who was worse than Harley Race?
Who?
I don't know how he survived. Ronnie Garvin.
Really? Tell us about his driving.
Ronnie Garvin would come up behind you, put his bumper against your bumper, his front bumper against your back bumper, and started pushing you down the highway at 80 and 90 miles per hour. Pushing you. That's what he would do. I got on an airplane with him one time. He'd get on the airplane. I got off, I threw up. Me, Von Raskin.
Oh, he flew the plane.
Yeah, he had pilot license, yeah. Scared the hell out of me. Scared the hell out of me. So I asked one of the wrestlers, I said, can I ride back with you guys? They said, Tony, you could be home in 45 minutes with Ronnie. He said, you know, otherwise it is a 4-hour drive. You rather drive for 4 hours than fly for 45 minutes? I said, if he fly that plane, yes. Scared the daylights out of me. Yeah, he was like that. There was a lot of guys like that. The one of the British Bulldogs was a crazy kid too, driving.
Dynamite.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He was so bad that rent-a-car people didn't want to rent us a car for a while. We couldn't get a car. We go to the airport.
That's going overboard.
Well, he would tear them up. I mean, the fender be hanging off of it, it'd be flat tire, scratches all over the side. He would tear it all to pieces.
No need for that. That's not even fun.
He'd be driving. He'd go, hey, Tony. I go, yeah. Watch this. Go off the road. In the bushes, the trees, knock down trees and everything, busting the tail light bust and everything popping. You can hear them pop through the lights. And by the time you get about the rental-car place, all the headlights been knocked out. The front fender is all bent in. The bumper is hanging to the side. I mean, it looked like you push it over a cliff.
It almost sounds like Cecil the Lion's West Emerson Street experience, but that's a different story.
Colonel Costa, Colonel, the one that's supposed to take Slaughter place when Slaughter left.
Who? Corporal Kirchner.
Yeah, him. He was like that too.
He was crazy with the rent-a-cars?
Yeah, man. Me and SD was riding with him one day, and we got in the rent-a-car, and SD looked and said, "Where the hell is the dashboard?" He said, "It's in the trunk." He ripped the dashboard off.
Why? No one knew. Crazy.
I asked Dynamite one time, I said, "Why you treat them cars like that?" He said, "It ain't mine." That was his attitude. It wasn't mine.
Here's the difference. I think Harley, despite the excessive speed, was a classy enough man where he wouldn't do that.
No.
He wouldn't damage someone else's property.
No, he's very respectable. Very respectable person. Harley Race wouldn't do nothing to hurt anybody. You know, he was a perfect champion. The way he carried himself. When you look at a Harley Race, guys like Harley Race, Ric Flair, Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, when they walk into the place, they act like a champion. They look like a champion. They wore the suits. They carried themselves in a very professional manner. They represented the business in the best way possible. You know, they was not. It's an era long gone. Mm-hmm. You know, Harley Race, I would say probably, when people ask me who your favorite guy to work with, Harley Race, the name come out with me first, always.
How many times would you say you worked with him?
Oh my goodness, at least 100.
Really, that many times, huh?
Yeah, at least 100. Yeah.
I know there were a few times in WWF when you were on your way up.
But that's
he was
laid off.
coming in, right?
Me and him mostly have our matches in North Carolina, Georgia, and we sold out Sam Houston Arena in Texas one year. You got to look that up and see what year that was. That when the other kid was living, Gino Hernandez was his name. Yeah. He was living then at that time, and I remember we sold the building out.
And you got a good payday.
Got a good payday.
Harley wasn't happy about the payday.
No, it wasn't so much that it was me. I think he would have been that way about anything. He felt that the world champion should get paid more at the end of his opponent. Mm-hmm. But Paul Bosch never sold the building out in a long while, so he wanted to make sure that I got what I deserved.
Paul Bosch was fair with the payoffs.
Paul Bosch was the best payoff man. I just hear that from everybody. He was the best payoff man in the business.
Him and Don Owens, I've heard.
Don Owens, yeah. They were the best payoff man. And the guy that tried to match him, believe it or not, he had the best guarantee in the business, where they give you guaranteed pay, was Jim Barnett.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
He said he knew what all the guarantee was in all the territory. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to always have the best guarantee.
Really?
Yeah. So he would guarantee you more money. Now, the worst promoter that I worked for was Nick Gudis.
In Tennessee.
Yeah.
What was so bad about Nick?
Well, the first time I worked for Nick Gudis was me, Tommy Wildfire Rich, drove from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee. When we got there, they used to have what's called a Waffle House. And steaks, you get a steak dinner back then for $6. But that was a lot of money back then for a steak dinner. That's like 20 today. So he bought us a nice steak dinner and everything. Then we sat there and we ate our $6 steak. Then Tommy wrestled, we sat in the dressing room, ready to drive out to Atlanta, but we ain't got paid yet. So Tommy Rich said, "Tony, have you got paid yet?" Ray Tommy told, "Hey, T, did you get your pay yet, T?" And I go, "Tommy, no, I'm waiting for Nick." "Well, hell, he ain't getting my pay yet either. I'm going to go find him." So he took off. He said, "Come on, T, we're going to go get our money." So I walked out with Tommy Rich. Nick Gudis had a trunk open, putting his suitcase in the trunk. Tommy go, "Hey, Nick, did you forget something?" He said, "No, I think I got everything." "No, our money, you didn't pay us." He turned and looked at some of the other wrestlers. Nick Gudis said, "Can you imagine this? Can you imagine these guys that just started in the business? I took them out, gave them a shot to show the people what they could do in the ring. I bought them a nice steak dinner, and they want to get paid on top of it." Tom Rich said, "We're hot down there, Nick. If you give me my payday, I'll give you your damn $6 back for that damn steak. It wasn't that good anyway. I want my damn money. I'm going to body slam your ass out here." So Nick reached in the suitcase and paid us.
What was the payday? Do you remember?
No, I don't. No.
Was it more than the $6 for the steak?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Me and Tom was the main event there.
How long did you work Tennessee for?
I was always in and out. I never worked there on a regular basis. That's where I met Sylvester Riller for the first time. That's where he started his career with Nick Goudas. I can't remember what he was wrestling on.
Wasn't Junkyard Dog?
No, he was not the Junkyard Dog.
Was it Sweet Daddy Ritter?
Probably something like that. He used to wear a long white coat. He used to wear like a doctor, long white doctor coat.
I think maybe that might have been it, Sweet Daddy.
Yeah, Sweet Daddy. I guess they want to make him like Sweet Daddy Secret or something. And Bill Watts, I think, he became Junkyard Dog in Mid-South with Bill Watts. And the rest is history. You know that story.
I can't imagine that Harley Race would work Tennessee where the pay was so low there.
When Harley was there, see, the pay was not low. The pay was based on the house.
Right.
So if you drew, you made money. If you didn't draw, you didn't make money. Harley always drew. When the world champion came to town, he always drew.
But could you trust Nick Goudas with the payoff?
I don't think Nick Goudas was stupid enough to mess with Harley Race.
Harley was going to get his 5% or whatever it was?
I don't think he was stupid enough to mess with Harley Race. Nobody was that stupid. When Harley Race going to get his money. See, the talent that a lot of guys got, I never did it, but Dutch Mantell could do it. If you ever talk to Dutch again, he was real good at it. They could go out, Ric Flair, and look at the house, and they could tell you how many people are in that house.
Really?
They could tell you what the house is. They could look at it and tell you how many people are in that house. They were just that good at it. So one day I asked one of the guys what it is, and they said what to do. They knew how many seats the building held. And what they would do, they would count all the empty seats. That's how they did it. They count all the empty seats, and that's how they came up with the determination if the house was half full or totally full or something. So if they count 100 seats and the building holds 20,000 people, they know they got 19,000 people in there. Almost 20,000 people, because there's only 100 seats missing. So they know, hey, we got a good house tonight. But they would go count the empty seats. Yeah. Wow. In fact, that's what Dutch was doing the night that Bruiser Brody got killed.
I remember
he missed. That's right.
He stated that before. He was out trying to count what the house was.
So he don't get cheated on his payday. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. Many people don't realize the great amateur background you had before getting into pro wrestling. But you were kind of a bigger, muscular guy. You really weren't known for maybe your cardio as much as your muscles. You would be required to work Harley at great lengths, maybe even, correct me if I'm wrong, hour Broadways.
We did. Most every time I wrestled, Harley was for 1 hour. Just about every time. I never was anywhere in Harley Race for less than 30 minutes. Back then, the title match, the minimum time on a title match back then was 30 minutes. And if you went less, people wanted their money back. So that was pretty much mandatory to go 30 minutes. Most of your matches was 15 minutes. That was a short match. So the match went anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes on an average night.
Was it hard for you to go an hour?
No.
You could go an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Can you think of, other than Harley, anyone that you ever went Broadway with for the hour?
All the guys could do it back then.
I'm asking you.
What?
Who did you work with for an hour, other than Harley Race?
Ric Flair.
You and Flair went an hour?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, in the Army, yeah. Me and Flair went out with Flair, with Harley Race. I did it in just with Nick Buckwinkel.
Really?
Yeah. But that was mandatory for a championship match, but people don't understand.
Was it hard for you?
No.
Why is that? You were just that good of an athlete? Or?
I always kept myself in shape.
You didn't get blown up?
No. I used to run track in school. I wrestled collegiate. I boxed. I worked out all the time. Always running.
Now, how did a guy like Harley, that, for better or worse, he wasn't in the world's greatest physical condition. He was an alcoholic. He was a chain smoker. How was he able to go the hour hundreds of nights per year? Was he superhuman?
No. Wahoo McDaniels. A lot of guys were they did their workout in the ring. When you come back in the dressing room and you're not drenching in sweat, what Wahoo McDaniels used to say all the time, if you don't blow up, in a match, you didn't work hard enough. The guys be soaking wet. If you look at the old pictures, if you look at the old matches, they were soaking wet. I mean, it looked like somebody just dumped a pound of water on them. I mean, just drenching. Sweat be dripping off of them. They would push themselves, and that was their workout. Their workout was in the ring, and that's how they did it. They did their cardio and everything in the ring. So they rested all day long, and then they bust their ass in that ring every night.
So for someone like Harley that was in his peak,
Terry Funk was the same way.
Their peak would have been in an era before the steroid look came along.
Yeah.
They didn't need to have the big gassed up looking physique.
No,
they could go and work in the ring. Yeah, that's interesting.
They ate like pigs, and they worked their butt off in the ring. So after a couple of months in the ring, do I remember the shortest match was 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. That was what we call a night off. Mm-hmm. 30 minutes was average. Mm-hmm. So they added
you only had a couple of matches on the shows.
Well, it was easy to do back then.
6 matches.
Because we didn't do all them. Well, we didn't do all them high spots either. Mm-hmm. I mean, we wrestled. I mean, if I got you in a headlock, I may hold that headlock on you for 10 minutes. So you got 10 minutes with you in a headlock. See, today people wouldn't watch a real wrestling match. Because in real life, if somebody get a hold on you, you're not going to pop out that easy.
And run off ropes.
Yeah, you're not going to be running them ropes. I mean, you got to first, and we used to make that part of the match too. So we didn't just do with the high spot, and we didn't chop meat all night long. Chopping meat is kicking and punching. Mm-hmm. You know, now the guys, they have very short match, nobody sells, and nobody wrestles. I think in my opinion, the last great wrestler that I've seen that did it all, the way we did it, was Chris Benoit.
A taboo name to bring up nowadays.
Chris Benoit.
He was a throwback.
Just looking at his wrestling period, we all make mistakes. We all did things.
Or a few.
You know, if it wasn't for my wife, Monica, I wouldn't be here to tell my story either. So he didn't have a Monica in his life, you know, but he didn't have nobody there at the worst time of his life with what happened to him. So, but I could have easily went down that road also if I hadn't met the woman that I met. But the guys that Undertaker, he keeps it real. Triple H, I would say, is the best worker that they got right now. Triple H is the best right now. There's nobody there better than him.
Well, where Harley was regarded...
The worst thing I think Vince did was taking him out of the ring and putting him in a suit and sticking him in the office. But they want him to think like a promoter, not like a wrestler.
Right.
His day was long for being over. There's nobody could do what he do. They can't do that with the emotion, the fire that he had.
I'm going to ask you this one.
They don't have it like he got it. Triple H is the best they got. Right now, Triple H is the best in the world.
Well, he only wrestles once or twice a year now, Tony.
But that's the problem. You don't see people like that in that ring no more. I watch all these guys matches. Seth Rollins, he should be in the audience.
Who?
Seth, whatever you call him.
Oh, Seth Rollins.
He should be in the audience. He should be a spectator.
He doesn't impress you.
Kofi Kingston should be selling popcorn.
That's a little stiff, Tony, don't you think?
No.
Let me ask you this, again, off topic from Harley Race, but you just mentioned Triple H being one of the best in your opinion.
Yes.
Bret Hart did an interview a couple of years back now where he said Triple H wasn't one of the best 1,000 wrestlers he'd ever see. Now, why do you think someone like Bret, that has been around the block, would make such a statement? Do you think personal, or do you think maybe in his opinion he really thinks there were 1,000 guys he'd seen that were better than Triple H?
I can't speak for what Bret Hart feel. I just know what I feel. You know, I watch Triple H, and what make a good wrestler is that when you watch his matches and you forget that it's a show. It's like watching a good movie. You know, the girl is getting ready to come into her house. The killer is behind the door with a knife, and you sitting in the audience, and you know you're at a movie theater, but you can't help yourself. When you open that door, you go, watch out. That's a good movie. You're able to get involved. He know how to make you involved. Bret Hart, I love his wrestling. I think he was a great athlete. Bret Hart, got built. Bret Hart didn't build Bret Hart. Okay? Vince built Bret Hart.
Right.
That's the difference. Triple H built Triple H through hard work. He learned the business. Bret didn't try to learn the business because he felt he already know the business.
He was born into it.
He was born into it, so he figured you can't teach him no more.
And isn't it funny that Triple H was trained
And
about 2 miles down the street from us, Tony, at Kowalski's.
And if it wasn't for Stone Cold Steve Austin, there'd be no Bret Hart. He made Bret.
Austin made Bret Hart?
Yeah.
How do you say that?
The matches, that way Bret separated himself. When we started off with Jim Neidhart, I worked with him at Jim Neidhart.
But Bret...
He was doing a gay gimmick. Everybody called him gay. You can watch me on the tape where I'm doing the gay thing with him. Yeah, they make fun of him. The guy that protected him during their matches was Jim Neidhart.
Right.
I was there. Jim Neidhart was the bull of the thing. And then when he started doing singer matches, and then he started working with Stone Cold, then when he had his best matches. You watch all the matches.
He got the Intercontinental title in '91, and his feud with Austin didn't begin until '96. So
but that's
the timeline's a little off.
Yeah, but that's what Vince was doing for him. But he wasn't over. He didn't get over with the people until he started fighting Stone Cold. Stone Cold took him to another level. I was there. I know what I'm talking about.
You could make the argument that maybe it was Bret that took Austin to the other level.
No.
Well, the
Austin
company,
always he was like a WCW.
The company
you ask Cactus Jack, he was like a WCW. They never turned him loose. Austin always been like a Cactus Jack. You say all the time, but in the WCW, tell Dusty Rhodes, Bill Watts, all say, why y'all don't use that kid? He said he's the best thing we got here. Stone Cold was the best in the WCW. They were pushing Rick Rude and all these other guys in it, and Ron Summers, and the people was going nuts for freaking Austin, even back then.
Before he was Stone Cold.
Yes, even back then.
I think that Austin is the greatest of all time, just based upon the numbers he drew.
I mean, I rolled with Austin. I was there in WCW, and I watched the reaction of the crowd. He wasn't on TV, these house shows.
Yeah.
I watched him in the house show, the way he wore and everything. You know, he was, you know, he was kind of like a Jake the Snake Roberts. You know, he just had it.
You want to know something funny, Tony? I was always huge on Austin, and I'll be honest, I never thought he would become what he became. I always envisioned that he would be a main event guy, more in the mold of someone like Ric Flair. And isn't it interesting at what he became?
He went the total opposite.
Total opposite.
Total opposite.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the greatest star, the greatest character, the greatest whatever you want to call it.
But the fire. The fire in him. You understand what I'm saying? When he come down we came down that ring, the way he walked, the way he did everything.
Rock would sit there and he'd do his comedy, ha-ha shit that buried more people than he ever got over. But Austin, even Hogan couldn't compare to what Austin did.
No, Austin was the bomb, brother.
The amount of shirts that they were selling.
Yeah, but he the one that took Bret Hart to a different level.
But Bret was already a made guy when Austin wasn't even in the company.
I say it took him to another level. It's kind of like
But did he? I mean, it's not like they went on. They never drew great. They were one of the co-main events of the worst drawing WrestleMania of all time. Is that really a boost? That was the worst drawing Mania of all time.
Who told you all this stuff?
It's history.
It's not history. That's fake news.
That's not fake news, and you know so.
You
were sitting there.
There was no collusion.
You did your horrible angle that night with you, Rocky Johnson, the Sultan, the Sheik, and Bob Backlund the night of that WrestleMania.
You remember that?
And it never went anywhere.
1997.
March of '97.
Yeah.
Never went anywhere.
No,
but I'll tell you this. That was one of the great WrestleMania matches of all time, even if a lot of people didn't order the show. That was badass. That was great. That double turn they did that night, that, as you'd say, that was wrestling. They had the people in Chicago. That was one of those nights where
right in the palm of their hand, brother.
Whether you thought it was a work, whether you thought it was a work or what, the people
they went for it.
They believed it.
They believed. That's the key. You hit the key. When you go to a movie and you forget that you're in a movie, that's a good movie. When you go to a wrestling match and you forget that it's a show, that's a good match. The only one that got that ability to do that now that I see is he's getting a little bit older now, but he still could do it, Undertaker and Triple H. That's what we call workers.
Anyone under 50 that can do it.
That's what we call workers.
But is there anyone under 50 that you think can do that nowadays?
No.
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 Interesting.
They look like Power Rangers.
What about Roman? You
No.
don't think he's smooth enough?
No. Come back too quick.
He's got the size. He's got credible size. But you don't think the work is believable. All right.
Here's why.
Tell me.
All right. I'm down selling. I'm half dead. All of a sudden, I make my comeback. Boom, 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 boom. Not believable.
He loses the credibility.
He forgot that he'd been selling for 10 minutes.
Well, because they have the pressure of that TV clock. All right.
Dick Murdoch, I was working his arm one night, beating on his arm. So he gonna get his heat. I've been twisting his arm, beating on the rope and everything. He gonna get his heat. This is how Murdoch got his heat. He took that arm that I've been working on and stuffed that hand down in his trunks. And he used that one arm. And during the whole match, he never used the left arm. When he left out of the building, he was selling that left arm. When he went to the car, he was selling that left arm. When you down getting beaten up,
he made it believable.
Right. You don't recover that fast. Then he act like nothing happened.
They don't sell it.
They don't sell it after they make a comeback, and they forget that this guy just jumped off the top rope on you. He just ran over you with the car. He don't back into it with his pickup truck. He don't drop a 20-pound dumbbell on your head. And you get up like nothing happens. Watch his match the next time and watch if he do that.
But what you described, they had tremendous athletic exhibitions, but they're not.
They don't have no ring psychology.
They're not believable.
They don't have what they call ring psychology. Because what Vince did, all the people that could teach it, Vince got rid of them. See, ring psychology you don't learn in wrestling school. Ring psychology you don't even learn it in the ring. Guess where you learn it at?
The ring psychology?
Drive it in the car with the old town.
Breaking it down for hours.
Right. When Ole Anderson first saw me and Tommy Wildfire Rich driving together, you know what Ole Anderson said to that?
What did he say?
We're both in our 20s. He said, it's the bland leading the bland. Because what can a 25-year-old teach another 25-year-old? Right. Nothing. They don't socialize with each other. They don't ride together. They about as separate as Iraq is from Israel. They don't, they praise each other, say what a great job they do, but there's no old timers there that they could ride up and down and teach them. My mentor was a guy called Johnny Weaver. Johnny Weaver, Klondike Bill, Abe Jacob. All the guys that mentored me was out of the 60s. See what I'm saying? So they didn't have all the hype then. So you have to become a main eventer, you have to put asses in the seat. That's what made you a main eventer. It wasn't the promoter that made you the main eventer, it was you. If they put your name on a billboard and people come to see you, and they say, listen to the crowd, listen to your audience. And when I was in the ring one night wrestling, and the people went nuts for me, Ole Anderson said, we got to move him up a match or two. See what I'm saying? He looked at the reaction of the people. You see? Said, we got to move him up. That's why the name of my book is Too Much Too Soon. Because people got all excited by my physique and my athletic ability. So what they did, they put me with good heels that led me by the nose. Every move I did with Harley, Harley called. Every move I did with Ric Flair, he called the whole match. I had no say-so in that match. None. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just did what I was told. And then I get back there, hey, the kid is easy to work with. He listened good. So all I had to do was listen. I didn't have to have no imagination. I had to do nothing but just stay in shape, stay athletic, and listen. That's all I had to do. And with a person that he put me in the ring with, it was all with veterans. And what they did, the veterans would pass the knowledge on to the rookies. Now there's no veteran to pass the knowledge.
Yeah.
See? They don't know ring psychology. The reason independence never got off the ground, they do not, people didn't come to see wrestling because they like wrestling. They came to catch you. That's what they came to see. They came to catch you. That's why they used to ask in the old days all the time, is wrestling what?
Fake.
They don't ask no more. Because when Roman Reigns lay on the ground for 10 minutes getting the crap kicked out of him and jumped up like the Road Runner in a cartoon and make a comeback and shows no attention to what was just done to him, how can you believe that?
You can't.
When Jimmy Snuka came up that top rope on you,
you're sold. Because
they rolled that stretcher in and took you out. Now, what if the guy had jumped right back up? It would have killed that move.
Never got over.
Would never got over. When I press slammed you, the guy laid there. He didn't jump right back up. You could do anything to these guys, Danny. You could run over with a bulldozer. They get up and drop kick you. They don't know how to work. They're not workers. Sometimes less is more.
Right.
They think working is doing a lot of high spots. It's not. It don't matter if the people don't believe it.
Right. You can do all the moves in the world. All right, Tony, let's try and circle back to Harley. Again, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. Do you have any final thoughts about Harley? A man you worked with hundreds of nights of your life.
I wish Harley is in a peaceful place now. I love him to death, love him to death. One of the greatest people I've met in my life. I hope his family, my regards go out to his family and all of his loved ones. But he was, he's going to be well missed in the rest of the world. It was a shame that WWE didn't get to see more of Harley Race like the rest of the world did. In Japan, I know he's very respected there.
An icon.
Everywhere he went, he was very, very respected up until his last few days on the earth. I mean, Harley Race is a perfect gentleman. He would sit there, if it took him 20 minutes to sign your autograph, he took the time. He didn't rush you through the assembly line when he signed autograph. He would sign it, talk to you, ask you what you want. He was very particular on how you signed your paper. He didn't just scribble his name. I watched him. He takes his time very slowly and write his name for you. Very neat. Thank you, shake your hand.
And you want to know one thing you'd notice about Harley's autograph, if you were more of an NWA
you could read it.
Well, he'd sign 8-time world champion. Or if it was a WWF type fan, he'd write King on it. So he took the time to make it a nice signature for the fans.
A real nice
He was paying the money for it. Yeah.
Some of these signatures, I would look at you.
a couple of lines.
I said, what the hell is that? I say it all the time.
I'm looking
at stuff now, I don't even know what it said.
I don't know if it's because they don't teach cursive in school anymore, but you even look back at the guys like Hogan, Austin, Ric Flair, Dusty, Macho Man, Andre.
I could read Hogan's.
Those are all nice signatures.
Yeah, Hogan's
You go
nice.
to see Roman Reigns, it's RR. You see Seth Rollins, it's SR. Dean Ambrose, DA. I mean, I don't know if it's because they don't know how to write their own signature, if it's just laziness. I can't imagine that where the popularity of wrestling has declined so much, they are asked to sign as many autographs as those guys we were just talking about. I don't think that's the case, Tony.
I think they don't give a shit about the fans.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I was there.
All right.
They don't give a shit about the fans.
All right.
They don't talk to them. They don't want to be around them or nothing. I was there. They don't care about the fans. They only care about one thing, themselves and the dollar bill, period. But that's not just wrestling. That's this generation I talked about earlier. They don't have that in them no more. They don't have that respect. They don't have that for the fans.
Harley had it.
The only guy, when I was in the WWE, manager Mark Hendrick, the only person that I've seen would stop and take time with the fans was only 2 people that I've seen. There have been more.
Who did you see, Tony?
Vince McMahon Jr. and Teddy Long. Vince McMahon Jr.
He'd always sign for the fans. Well, at least maybe
when Vince was coming down, the limousine is waiting on him. He's in a rush. He got people behind him with loads and loads of books. Somebody would come up and say, Mr. McMahon, can I have your autograph? He set down his briefcase, stopped, signed his autograph, talked to him, put his arm around him. Vince. I see him do it many times. Thank you, and go get in his car. I see him do it many times. no matter who it is, you come and ask Vince for his order, he stopped whatever he's doing right there. Teddy Long was like that. But they were the only two that I saw.
Personally. All right.
Now, there might be more that have done it.
But those were the only two you saw.
Next time you go to WWE match, you watching the people, hey, hey, they're hollering at them, and they walking. They won't even look. Won't even look to the side. Won't even turn. Won't even wave. Just into the building. They ignore them.
At the end of the day, Tony, the episode was Harley Race. We're going to miss him.
Yes,
I wish we could have done more with them. I don't even know if I told you this.
People wonder why I got this paper bag in my hand.
Well,
look at that.
You like to meal. You like to eat. No, you don't like to eat.
No, I got this paper bag here.
What do you got? What do you got, a chicken wing? I can't even see without my glasses. I can tell now. You got a chicken wing. You're eyeing it like Lanny Poffo before you dig in.
You that Lanny Poffo. What are you with that Lanny Poffo stuff? You got to stop that.
All right, wrestling fans, we're going to take a brief timeout. We'll be back to wrap up the show.
Irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
We're friends, Andre, please.
Maybe you'll believe this, Hogan.
You will never, ever see it again.
Austin face to face with McMahon.
Nobody tells Stone Cold Steve Austin what to do or when to do it.
And that's the bottom line.
Neither of these superstars is leaving this match without a few scars.
The story will end with me becoming the Universal Champion.
I don't think I've ever seen two more evenly matched competitors in my life.
WWE's greatest writers, available online or wherever books are sold.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. Another great episode of Wrestling Insiders paying tribute to Harley Race. If you've never seen our full-length studio shoot interview DVD, the DVD you can get on eBay, and you can stream it on the Patreon channel, along with dozens of other great full-length studio shoot interview DVDs in full-screen ad-free access to these shows, unless maybe you want an ad covering Tony as he devours that chicken wing. But September is a big month. It's Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. We're going to try and raise some money for the kids with some great money on eBay. Tony and I had a lot of fun with Connor's Cure last fall. We also have, again, weekly episodes of Wrestling Insiders, baby. Every Tuesday, we're calling it Tuesdays with Tony, at least through the end of 2019. If you want to make sure that these great shows continue, that so many fans around the globe have so much fun with, help us out. Open up that wallet a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. And as always, we ask you to like the show. Yeah. Share with your wrestling friends and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. It costs you nothing. The Twitter channel, I don't know if Twitter channel is the right way to subscribe it, but our Twitter, at MWF Project X, has over 50,000 fans. The MWF is coming back in late 2019. MWF Ultra is coming back before the end of the month. Tony, it is a happening, everything we're doing. And part of the reason the whole Boston wrestling sports family continues to grow is because of you.
Who?
You.
What I do?
Everyone loves you.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way it is.
All right.
I'm going to tell you like it is.
That's the only way
you know how. If I didn't see it, if I didn't live it, and if I didn't do it, I'm not talking about it.
All right. Well, for the Hall of Fame and Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marati. Until next week, you and yours, be well. I'm Dan Marati.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Let us tell you how the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation can help raise cash for your nonprofit cause. Experience the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation live in your city, throughout New England, the tri-state area, down through the Carolinas, out to our friends in the Midwest and beyond.
If your nonprofit organization is looking for an interactive turnkey experience while putting enough fun into fundraising, you've met the perfect tag team partner to work with every step of the way.
The MWF offers a variety of packages for groups of almost any size, from our live events at the Boston Garden, the Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex, and the legendary Suffolk Downs, to high school gyms and function halls. We've presented live events everywhere and anywhere.
Since 2001, the MWF's mission has been simple: keep the kids off the streets. Under the leadership of President David Reese, we bring the superstars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow to your town. Not for a wrestling show, but an event that features action-packed in-ring wrestling, autograph, pose photo opportunities, Q&A sessions, and so much more. It's the best of sports and entertainment. The week of your event, we can add on to the endeavor with anti-bullying campaigns, library meet and greet reads, youth sport concussion seminars, and more.
Our live events are fit for fans of any age from 5 to 95. This fall is part of our new Kids Club program. We offer live event experiences exclusively for the youngest of fans. On the flip side, we can produce a tailor-made event for fans of an older demographic as well. We work with you every step of the way to get the word out to fans near and far on our local television offerings and to over 50,000 fans and growing on our social media platforms.
Your success is our success. If your group has had enough of candy bar and wrapping paper sales and has the energy to team with our passionate fan base, bringing the NWF experience to your community is the answer to put smiles on faces while raising cash for your cause.
Contact us today to get the ball rolling for your custom-made event that you'll want to bring back year after year to your community.
Don't just take it from us. Here are the folks we've teamed up with in the past.